The recent Nintendo Direct has divided the community. Let's face it, at the end of every single Nintendo Direct, you have complaints from somebody over something. No one's ever generally always happy. I mean, ever. But I say with the last couple of general Nintendo Directs we've gotten, last September and just this recent one in June, I haven't seen this many people angry in a long time. And this one really put the icing on the cake. There's always going to be that group of people that love every Nintendo Direct no matter what's in it, but I don't think I've ever in history seen this many people come together and say, yeah, that was a pretty bad show. And I'll be completely honest with you, I didn't think there was a chance that I'd come out of the show seeing more than a couple of people saying that the show was anything but horrible. But to my own surprise, yep, they're out there, but there's always two sides to every coin. Wait a second, that's the real Scott the Woz. As toxic as the online space and Twitter can be nowadays, I don't think I've ever seen as much of a fan base split on a single presentation in my entire life. I was reading so many comments of people saying this was one of the greatest shows that they have ever seen from Nintendo, but also so many comments saying this was one of the worst directs they've ever seen. Even my own chat, look, they are acting absolutely unbelievable here. Like, this is just ridiculous. I was actually actively trying to learn about Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave here. But this is such a weird one. I've talked to lots of content creator friends of mine, and most of them seem to really hate this show. But then I see videos and reactions from other content creators who say this actually wasn't that bad. Now, video games as a medium is subjective anyways. I feel like a lot of the time it comes down to, did I get what I wanted from the show? If I did, I loved it. If I didn't, I hated it. But it's this tweet specifically from Omni on Twitter that had me thinking. He states, true or false, people who instinctively judge the Nintendo Direct based entirely on their own taste are naturally self-centered. Another popular content creator in the replies, Boundary Break, commented, false. Watching the future of gaming unfold in these media events is a form of consuming media, and consuming media comes with likes, dislikes, and preferences. It's not someone's job to care about someone else's favorite franchise getting a new game any more than it is for someone to like a movie they just watched just because someone else out there loves it. And this bubble regarding how media is consumed for many people is not a reflection of how they treat others beyond the realm of entertainment. For example, the most generous and thoughtful friend I have also hates Twilight Princess, and isn't afraid to tell me that despite how much I love it. I personally find myself on both sides of the coin here. On one end, I agree with Boundary Break. I don't think anyone should be judging if someone liked or disliked a show or not. Right now, if you go on anything online and say that you did not like the show, you will get bombarded by people saying it's because you only like Mario. That's the reason you didn't like this presentation. And then they will make you feel horrible about it. This is literally a comment I got shortly after tweeting I didn't like the show. I love Scott the Woz and his videos, but I don't think he ever knew that this single image would be embedded into Nintendo lore so much, because oh my gosh, this image is used whenever anyone has something bad to say about Nintendo. Everyone that dislikes this Direct online is being called a I only like Mario and I only play Mario person. Ethan on Twitter tweeted, God forbid you be mildly disappointed with a Nintendo Direct, or else you'll be smothered with Scott the Woz clips and called a LARPer who only plays Mario. And even Scott had a comment, dog, I didn't even like the Direct. It's just so strange with Nintendo fans now. It's like the toxic positivity is getting even worse than the toxic negativity. You can't say that you don't like anything from Nintendo anymore, or you're labeled a grifter, or you're labeled as someone who only plays Mario simply because you didn't like how a 50-minute presentation was 90% JRPG focused. I mean, for crying out loud, first party alone, not even talking about all the third party JRPGs, we got three Xenoblade Switch 2 editions in a row, plus a look at a Xenoblade 4 that's not even coming until next year, plus a huge section on Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Now, I am not a Fire Emblem or Xenoblade hater, at least not anymore. I once was, I can admit that. I'm a man enough, I can admit that. But after playing through the entirety of Xenoblade 1 and Fire Emblem 3 Houses, I really like these games, and I'm looking forward to playing the other games. I just need a little bit of a break, because I need a lot of catching up to do before Xenoblade 4 already. Goodness gracious. But yeah, it's just like, even though I am becoming slowly a fan of these franchises, this is a lot of JRPG, and that's not even including all the third-party JRPGs and the same looking dragon and sword game that we got throughout the entire Direct. So on one hand, I agree with Boundary Break, and I think it's false. I think you're allowed to judge any sort of media the way you see it. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, great. But it shouldn't be at the cost of coming at each other's necks. I don't think it makes you self-centered because you judge a Direct based on how you felt it went or not. But just because a show was good for you because you got what you wanted or bad for you because you didn't, you shouldn't be making other people feel bad because they didn't get what they wanted. And that's why at the same time, I kind of think this is true for both ends. Yes, I think people who judge a Nintendo Direct for their own taste can be self-centered. Not always though. For instance, seeing nothing but Xenoblade fans literally naming their accounts off of the franchise saying that this is the worst Direct for anybody that's not Xenoblade fans, we're eating good and you're not. For Nintendo fans that only play Mario and Zelda, you're not eating good. That's the most self-centered thing ever. Let me be completely honest with you, and I completely mean this. This whole show was like a 2.5, 3 out of 10 for me. If they ended the show with a brand new 3D Mario, which you know is my end-all be-all, I still would look at you at the end of the show and say, oh my gosh, I got the game that I've always wanted. But the show was still pretty bad. That's the problem right now. You have fans of specific franchises and certain IPs, and they always get the games that they have wanted, while there's a large other group of the fan base that are looking for other things and they're not getting what they wanted. But just because you got your new JRPG, you think the show is automatically a 10 out of 10, and everybody that thinks otherwise is wrong, and you go online to bash them. Let me make this clear. It's fine to say the show was a 10 out of 10 for you, but don't go online and make people feel bad for saying it was a 2 out of 10 for them. I can't tell you how many times I see the tweet, JRPG fans are eating good with this Direct. If you're a JRPG fan, you're gonna love this Direct. It feels like it's every single Nintendo Direct. It's JRPG focused now. I'm not asking you to not be happy and to not enjoy your Nintendo Direct, JRPG fans, but I'm just asking for you to have an open mind as to why the general population that aren't JRPG fans are finding the Direct a little lackluster. Fort tweeted, I totally understand not being hyped for ports or remakes, but I never realized how many Nintendo fans that straight up dislike JRPGs as a genre. I don't think it's that Nintendo fans hate JRPGs as a genre, I think they're just tired of the oversaturation of them. It feels like 75% or more of every single Nintendo Direct is filled with JRPG stuff. I have some friends that are really big JRPG fans, and they text me a lot, giving me recommendations and stuff, and I try some of them out. But also, they text me at the end of every single Nintendo Direct and say, man, this Direct was made for me, this Direct was made for me, this Direct was made for me, where's the one made for anyone else? Have we ever, in the history of Nintendo Directs in the last 10 years, got one that felt like it was more of a different genre than RPGs? Like, have we ever got one that felt like 50% of platformers, or 3D or 2D platformers, any of them? Shooters, first or third person, or racers, or action adventure, story adventure games? No, I don't think we're ever going to see a show that has an equal amount of platformers and JRPGs. That's just the way things are. But still, there should be a lot better balance in between these games. We shouldn't have over 50% JRPG coverage every single Direct. And I feel like Nintendo fans' biggest weakness is the inability to see anyone else's opinion, or to see what anyone else would like from a Nintendo showcase. Like I said, if this Direct did include my 3D Mario game, obviously it would be a lot better, but I would still completely understand the sentiment of people saying they didn't really like the show all that much outside of Mario. I wouldn't be tweeting, oh, Mario fans are eating good, everybody else, you suck it. Nintendo fans need to remember that not everybody else are Nintendo fans. Yes, there's a lot of people that are looking forward to getting a Switch 2, or maybe have their Switch 2 because they bought in early and are looking forward to some big first-party Nintendo announcements to play. I normally don't talk about TikTok a lot because that platform can be just as bad, because yes, there's a lot of Nintendo haters on there and you'll see them, but you'll also see a lot of just casual gamers. People that come across Nintendo videos and you can read the comments of people and you can tell they're not normally Nintendo fans, and you can see how they're feeling about stuff. And almost every single comment I've read throughout TikTok for the last 24 hours all said, that's it? This is all we got? Where's Smash Brothers? Where's Animal Crossing? Where's Mario? No Luigi's Mansion? No Mario Maker? Why so many ports? Why so many remakes? Why so many third-party games? If you take one step out of the Nintendo Twitter sphere, this is real life. This is what a lot of casual gamers are feeling. My friends included, who like Nintendo, but they're not diehard Nintendo fans. And only two of my 20 plus close friends have Switch 2s, and they all had Switch 1s. I know a lot of people like to make the joke that people only care about Mario and Zelda and the big stuff, but yeah, they kind of do. When it's year 2 for your new console and two of the only games that people are really buying into the new Switch for is Pokemon Pokopia and Mario Kart World, That's kind of an issue. I see people not just blindly bashing the Switch 2, but people trying to find reasons to buy this console. And every single Nintendo Direct, Nintendo doesn't give them that. I am so happy that Xenoblade fans got all those Switch 2 editions and a peek at the brand new Xenoblade 4 for next year. I'm so excited that Fire Emblem fans are getting another new Fire Emblem game. But I'm sorry, your neighbor that just got into gaming, your little cousin, your Uncle Frank, probably none of them even know what Fire Emblem or Xenoblade is. They're gonna go buy $500 consoles to play the big names. They're looking for Smash Brothers. They're looking for Animal Crossing, just a tease at the next 3D Mario. And these are the same comments I'm seeing everywhere for the last 2 days. And same thing when it comes to third parties. I get it, not everybody can afford another console in their home. A lot of people own a Switch 2, and this is their console to also play third parties. And I will say, Nintendo is absolutely eating in its third-party department right now. It's pulling from all sorts of games and stuff. If this was a third-party direct, this would be an A+. But that's the problem. It's a general direct, and the first one in 9 months. And 90% of the show felt like third-party announcements. And for people like me that own other consoles to play these other games, why would we care? So when you spend so much time dedicated to third-party titles, when a lot of people are tuning into a Nintendo Direct to see Nintendo games, you're starting to see where the issue arises. Look, I think it's simple. I think on both sides, you shouldn't be telling people how they should feel after watching a Nintendo Direct. On one side, you shouldn't be bashing people because they didn't get any games outside of the JRPG games that you got, and you're mad at them because they don't like your franchise as much as you do. You gotta look outside of your JRPGs. The only 2 new games that we got announced that weren't JRPGs and that were new announcements was Switch Sports and like a 15-second look at Zelda Ocarina of Time remake. But also, if you hated the Direct, you shouldn't be going around telling people that they need to hate it too. I don't know how you liked it. You shouldn't like it. You don't need to be liking this. Like, people are allowed to like things. People are allowed to dislike things. We need to just leave it at that. It's just day by day, month by month, year by year, it gets worse and worse and worse to have an opinion on the internet. You cannot have an opinion. You cannot like something. You cannot dislike something. If you like something too much, you'll be called a shill. I was called a shill for the first 5 years of my YouTube career. And then the last couple of years, I've been called an absolute Nintendo hating grifter. So it's both sides of the coin. And it's sad that we even have to get to that point. Once again, you can like things, you can dislike things, but stop bullying people for having opinions. It's just silly and childish. This is video games, people. I can see why JRPG fans love this show, but I can also see why so many non-JRPG fans don't like this show, like myself. And look, after the last Direct was so controversial, I don't know what the future of Nintendo Directs is going to look like after this one. But don't take my word, it's facts. Look at what most people thought of this, including investors and shareholders. Since Switch 2 has released, Nintendo stock has been on a steady decline, and ever since this Nintendo Direct, it completely fell off a cliff. People are just not happy with what's being announced for Switch 2, but you don't hear this or see this because all you're hearing is Nintendo fans screaming in your ear about how you're wrong for having an opinion. For some reason, people think Nintendo YouTubers now get more money and more attention when they're just negative all the time, and no, that's not the case. There may have been one era back when Switch 2 just came out after the prices of games were announced to be $80 and just everything was wacky and weird with its release. Not anymore. People don't care that much if you have something bad to say about Nintendo. No, I'm not making extra money because I say something bad about the company. I say what I say because I want to speak truth. I have something on my mind, I have an opinion, and I want to speak it to you guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat and just be blindly happy because that's what 90% of the people do on the platform nowadays do. If you don't believe me, go look up those famous grifter YouTube channels. They're not getting anywhere near the same amount of views they were a year ago. My most profitable and successful years on the platform was from pretty much the entire era of Switch 1. From the Mario Maker 2s, the Mario Odysseys, Breath of the Wild, Smash Bros. Ultimate, Animal Crossing, New Horizons, Splatoon 2 and 3 and all of its DLCs, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and its DLCs, Luigi's Mansion 3, Kirby Star Allies and the Forgotten Land, Mario Wonder, Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4. The list goes on and on and on. When Nintendo's on top of their game, I'm naturally more successful, so I want them to do well. I don't want to have to talk bad about Nintendo, but I'm also not going to sugarcoat things and keep quiet because I'm afraid of the backlash I'm going to get, or I'm afraid of people going to call me a grifter. A grifter doesn't even mean anything anymore. I'd rather have a lot of people pointing fingers at me and calling me names and calling me ungrateful than sitting up here with a fake smile every time saying, that was good. But to make a long story longer, I think it's fine to have likes and dislikes, to have preferences, and to have shows that you naturally feel like is really good. Like I said, if Mario was announced here with a big open world 3D Mario game and we got to see it, me personally, I would say for me, this Direct was probably like a 7 or an 8, maybe even a 9. But I'd say for the general consensus, when I look at everything that was here, it probably would still only be like a 4 or a 5 for a lot of people. One new 3D Mario game and maybe one remake for Zelda with a bunch of other smaller things just isn't going to resonate with a whole bunch of people in that audience. But I don't know, people are going to always be at each other's necks for everything. I mean, in the last couple of years, I've never seen so much hate from people in my life. This is about video games. This is supposed to be a fun pastime. If you like a video game or don't like a video game, who cares? You're allowed to have an opinion, move on. If you're enjoying your games and your announcements, enjoy your games and announcements and stop trying to get everybody to agree or disagree with you. But I don't know, maybe the best way to solve this problem is just to get rid of Nintendo Directs altogether. That is for another video.